Namaskar. Spirituality. What is spirituality? It's a desire to find greatness. It's a path of mysticism. The path of mysticism is when a small is searching for the great. The small aspires to become great. The small wants to grow and search and march and move on the path of enlargement, on the path of liberation, and then finally achieve the largeness, finally achieve greatness, finally achieve liberation. So that is the path of mysticism. That is the path of spirituality. So in the word liberation, there are many facets actually. One facet is spiritual liberation, movement from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Asatoma Sadgamaya. You see this movie, the Matrix movie. When I saw first, I really loved it. And in the end of that movie, there is this mantra, Asatoma Sadgamaya, Toma Soma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. And that mantra says, that shloka says, lead us from untruth to truth, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. So that movement, immortalizing yourself spiritually, removing everything which is dead within you, which is untrue within you, that is a spiritual liberation. And becoming the embodiment of life, that is the liberation, spiritual. And then there is another facet, is cultural liberation, intellectual liberation, removing from the mind defective ideas which creates disharmony in our social order, that destroy the equilibrium and happiness of all beings. So fighting for your intellectual liberation is another thing, another facet. And then there is also, following the intellectual liberation, there is a socio-economic liberation, is correcting our socio-economic order to establish a proper harmony, proper equilibrium and equipoise in the system, achieving the proper ecological balance in life. So that is liberation, and that what is Tantra. Tantra, many times it has been misunderstood, misinterpreted, and Tantra means the original, the very essence of the Tantra, the interpretation of Tantra is Tantra. Ta is ignorance, and Tra, to be liberated from. To liberate yourself from ignorance, to liberate yourself from darkness in every arena of life. And another interpretation is Tantra, liberation by expansion, by becoming stronger, by enlarging yourself, breaking your bondages. That's Tantra. So this path of liberation is always through struggle. Never liberty, never freedom on any of those levels can be given to you on the silver platter. Oh, please enjoy this freedom. It never happens like this. The freedom has to be earned with sweat and effort and with a tremendous work. Around us, very few people who are self-motivated. They are spiritual geniuses. They are special. This is not normal. Whatever environment you put them, those kind of people, they will prosper, they will blossom, because they have inner urge to reach that state of freedom. Whether it is in the physical sphere, and they train their body and to and overcome the weakness of the body, or it is an intellectual and spiritual sphere. But they inside, they are self-motivated. But the majority of society, they need proper environment. The environment working together with the inner urge of the person creates the movement of the evolution. I look around and I see he is trying, she is trying, they are trying, everybody is trying, collectively we are trying. We are breaking the bondages, we are breaking the shackles of ignorance, the shackles of darkness, and moving towards the light. So that's a proper environment. In the past, Sadashiva, first yogi, first guru, first teacher of humanity, he has said that amongst millions of beings, only few will be privileged to hear spiritual lessons, to come in touch with spiritual ideas. Amongst those, only very few will understand the inner meaning of those discourses, the inner meaning of those philosophies. And amongst those who understood, few will start, do something practical, move on the path. Many people, they watch meditation steps. Not many, few. Amongst those who watch, fewer are those who have started the path of development, the path of liberation. And amongst those who have started, the counted ones will reach the final goal. In my experience, it is the same. I have taught many people meditation, inspired many people. But amongst thousands of people, few, they ventured to actually start a spiritual path, to start working on their consciousness, develop their consciousness. And amongst those, very few continued. So I thought, why is this? Why is this? And how to make it? How to make it in such a way that everybody can continue? And then I recognized the necessity of the collective development. That's why in Tantra, in the past, in the very, from the ancient times, this understanding is there. Satsangena bhaven muktir asatsangeshu bandhanam. Asatsanga mudranam sa mudra parikirtitam. It means good company, good environment, the environment where people are bright and holy and powerful, inspired. The environment of the passionate people, the environment of visionaries, the environment of the people loving hearts and people loving people. So that type of environment is called satsanga. Satsanga, connection with the eternal. You are with me. What are we talking about? We are not talking what kind of whiskey we purchased 1 year ago and how we drank it. We are talking about the spiritual ideas, and we are talking about the liberation of humanity. How to move from this situation to the greater future, to the better future. So, not the small minds, but the big minds, the thinking minds, the flowing minds. That is positive environment. That is satsanga. That connects you to the source of life. You are alive, are you? You are. But some parts of you are not alive, not moving, not developing, inert. So the environment, the company has to awaken you, has to remove the defects and establish you as a better personality, and establish you in the high ideals. So it says, Satsangeshu bhavin muktir asatsangena bandhanam. Good company, the company of living people, like in Bible, Jesus Christ says in a very radical manner, he says, let the dead bury their death. You come with me. So the company of the living people, people who are alive, that is satsanga. And the company asatsanga, the company which binds you to the small things of life, that instill you with disbelief, which makes you really very too much down to earth. Not in a good sense. I like to be down to earth. But in a bad sense, it's like being down to earth like an insect. You can stay on earth because from the earth we draw our juices. If the big tree must have the roots go very deep in the earth, and from earth take the juices. So, in one way, we should not be flying in the sky, because that kind of flying in the sky is without consequence. We have to be very strongly rooted on the ground, but at the same time, with the higher branches, we must reach the sky. So this is the ideal, not just like floating in the sky. But some people, they are too much down to earth like an insect, not aspiring for anything great in life. And that type of life inevitably leads to degradation, to degeneration. Because if you are not moving forward, if you are not climbing, naturally you are falling. So asatsanga, asatsangeshu bandhanam, the association with this kind of people who have no high ideals, who have no purpose in life, that leads to bondage. You self become like that. So seeking for the good company and abstaining from the bad company is a special practice of spirituality, which is called mudra sadhana. That mudra sadhana is really being wise. You want to be good, you want to be progressive, associate yourself with the good people. Automatically you will become good, automatically you will become progressive, automatically you will become inspired. So for that, I understand that spiritual development is of collective nature. Very few individuals, they can do it without the collectivity. But the challenge of today is to create a special environment. So in meditation steps, we want to contribute to the creation of that kind of environment. We are creating the communities, we are creating the bubbles of existence. In the darkness there is a bubble of light. In that bubble you get nourished, and you become motivated spiritually. For that we are starting a program which is every Saturday we are doing the meeting of the big team of the meditation steps to discuss spiritual ideas, to answer the questions, the deep questions and answers, and to meditate together and to think what we can do to change ourselves and to change the world. So that is one attempt to create a satsanga, to create a proper environment. When you are in satsanga, after being in a nourishing environment, your brain becomes awake, it starts to move, it creates just like pow, pow, pow. So many bubbles are there in your mind, and you are, oh, and then this, once you understand, once you realize, then you find the solutions to your problems in everyday life. You change your life. Very, very, very quickly you progress. When I started to meditate, I found some people who were meditating, and I understood I had my life was very, very stagnant and dark actually before that. And I understood that the way for me to come to the light is to be associated with these people. I was just waiting. We were meeting twice a week, so from Sunday to Wednesday it was okay. I could manage, but from Wednesday to Sunday, too long time to wait. I was just like waiting, like I'm waiting to take a new breath of fresh air. And like this, I was doing the collective meditation twice a week, and I was just like really drinking those people. I was like, I don't want to be separated from you, I just want to be with you. And then very, very quickly, so many habits, so many views, so many ideas have changed in my mind. And a new stage started in my life. So I will be very happy to see you in the meetings of the big team of meditation steps. You will find the link below. You can register there, and there will be some means of communications, and we will be inviting you for the meetings in Zoom, and just meditate together, then talk, get saturated with the big ideas. Thank you very much. Namaskar.